Hello friends, welcome to a new video. As the dust begins to settle from the less than 2-hour meeting between Chinese leader Xi Jinping and President Donald Trump at an airbase in South Korea on Thursday, it's clear that China's leaders have scored another win for their hardball strategy with the United States. The meeting did not secure a broad trade deal, but rather a return to a tentative truce based on a handful of agreements meant to keep the two sides on track as relations move toward a more stable one. She walked away with a 10% reduction in the 30% tariffs Trump had imposed on Chinese goods this year, in exchange for stepping up efforts to rein in his role in the U.S. fentanyl crisis. He also secured a U.S. agreement to block a new rule that would significantly increase the number of Chinese companies on a blacklist from buying sensitive American technology. Trump refrained from imposing a broad set of sanctions on Beijing that could hurt global industries that rely on China's rare earth minerals. U.S. officials said China would also increase purchases of U.S. soybeans and other agricultural products. The two sides also halted port fees targeting each other's shipping sectors and extended a truce on higher tariffs. On paper, it sounds like a reasonable exchange, and one that provides, at least for now, what both leaders and the broader global economy wanted: stability after a tumultuous year of wrangling between the world's economic heavyweights. But for Beijing, the agreements, which came with Trump's enthusiastic praise for Xi, are a clear confirmation of the success of its strategy in how to handle Trump 2.0. That's because Beijing has been able to secure valuable concessions on tariffs and export controls, while essentially acknowledging the measures they have portrayed as retaliation against those coming only from the United States. Take soybeans, a key U.S. export that has seen Chinese purchases fall this year due to trade disputes. U.S. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins said after the talks that China agreed to buy at least 25 million metric tons of U.S. soybeans annually for the next 3 years. But that baseline is still 1.8 million metric tons below China's soybean purchases last year, according to U.S. data. China's ultranationalist and censor-curated internet took it all in on Friday, as social media commentators praised how China really ended this tariff war, and observed that Trump has finally dealt with the mess Trump created. Even with tariffs slashed to 20% from this year's U.S. trade dispute, Chinese exporters are averaging 50% of the value of their goods, with existing duties. That rate is the highest the U.S. has ever imposed on any country. In the meantime, Washington has seen real progress in its goal of reducing its trade deficit. And while a deal has yet to be signed, Beijing has made some real concessions on the fate of social media app TikTok, after changing its tune over its strong opposition to a U.S. law that would require the app's Chinese owner, ByteDance, to sell its U.S. business. China is also being blocked from accessing the highest-end American chips, a key weapon in the high-stakes AI race between the two countries. But on the tech front, Beijing's ability to push back by at least a year a new U.S. rule that has significantly increased the number of Chinese companies blacklisted from buying sensitive American technologies is a major boon for Chinese firms. Intelligence firm Wirescreen. It's another win for Beijing's strategy of using its near-total control over the global rare earth supply chain as leverage against the United States, a tactic it also used when it raised tariffs earlier this year. And China's agreement to delay its expanded export control regime on rare earth minerals for at least a year, which it announced as a countermeasure to the expansion of the U.S. blacklist, is unlikely to be seen as a major setback in Beijing. As one Chinese scholar, foreign policy analyst Shen Dingley told CNN earlier this month, the measures were a nuclear option that Beijing knew it was not compatible with. But if China doesn't use these weapons, China has little left to bargain with. Thanks for watching our videos.